Hi, everybody. Okay, so make sure everything's working. I think it is. Hi, everybody. This is day 983. 983. We're coming up to 1,000 days since Richard vanished from the barracks room, a secure location on Fort Bliss, a secure military installation, and he just vanished. That's not how things work. If the United States military cannot secure our installations, cannot secure our service members in the barracks um, on a installation such as Fort Bliss, very important. I mean, they're all important, but this is huge because it's a border city installation, military um, with a millions, billions of dollars going into it to secure it, and cameras everywhere. And if they can't uh, have that kind of area, that kind of installation, with all kinds of evidence, what would happen to a soldier that didn't walk out? He didn't walk out, y'all. We know that. He was taken out. We know that. Um, because of the feedback, them not getting in touch with us. When we got in touch, they were breaking up and crying and all upset, and then to throw us out. Here they are all upset, and then they throw us out, and then we have to beg. Then we have that didn't help. Then we have to do social media. We got traction with social media because of the three beheadings: Vanessa Guillen, Enrique Roman Martinez, Austin Hawk, and of course, let's not forget all the others that have suffered, like Elder Fernandez, like Caleb Smither, um, like Lavina Johnson 20 years ago. Um, so you have, and that's just a few of them. There's numerous, and numerous, and numerous. I even put one up yesterday, a soldier that felt unsafe um, on the military installation. And I just think that that is appalling. And we know why. Um, so we had a leak. We received another leak. And here it is, Palm Sunday, everybody. Um, Palm Sunday. So down condemned way. Down condemned way. Um, so I'll talk about that too. I want to really tell you about um, these leaks, because as the disciples were thinking, okay, we're going to go to our death for our Lord, with our Lord as he goes into Jerusalem, they already had um, organized everything to indict Jesus. They have already decided that it would be better to kill him to save the nation of Israel, of Judea. Uh, you know, so for politics, they wanted to kill him. Absolutely, innocent man. And the disciples, they couldn't persuade him from not going into Jerusalem, so they decided to to go to death with him. Okay, that's exactly what they thought they would. That was the politics of the day. You can have um, so many people that received their eyesight. The lame walked. The words of freedom were heard. And, so they were, very in confusion. Oh my goodness, here comes the Lord. He is coming into Jerusalem. riding on a donkey, and we're going to grab our flags. The palm was the flag um, of all of those very suppressed, taken advantage of peoples who were crying out. Even Jesus was saying, even the rocks cry out, right? Even the rocks cry out. But the people are fickle. They're very fickle. They're like, I want my retirement. I need to feed my family. And this is a good thing that the Lord is coming down this day, but the government, they've already made their mind. They're going to kill him. So I've got to feed my family. So I've got to lockstep with crucify him, crucify him, crucify him. You see? So they had a good time on Palm Sunday, throwing the palms out, waving them, throwing their garments out in front of their Lord. But yet, they were fickle. And the fact is, because if you know history, if you know AD 70, if you know nothing worse happened in this world since then. So all of them perished. The condemning was not of Jesus. The condemning was of all the fickle, the evil. And that's a good lesson for me today. I've got to stay strong during all of this. Because here we have a leak coming out again. And the leak is someone that didn't really want to be fickle. Okay? And the leak is about Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. He's been shined up pretty good. He's gone to his charm school. And he was their commander at Fort Bliss. He was the one that we met with many times and insulted us with that the Army takes underage drinking seriously. They take it seriously to do it. 100%. But what he was essentially telling us with the SJA and those meetings is they had every right to destroy Richard for drinking a drink, an alcoholic adult beverage. That's what he was essentially saying in those meetings, because that's all they had on Richard was one counseling slip for underage drinking 0.04 BAC. That's all they had on him. And I know so it was very insulting. So I'm not going to spend much more time on that. Round and round we go, right? Because Richard is missing. And there was much more to it. And the leak is that one of his staff members was appalled at what came out of his mouth. That during that time, he didn't care about anything. They just had to keep a lid on this because they could not have another Vanessa Guillen. They could not have another Vanessa Guillen case. And it was this same Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe that, matter of fact, I was going to put that up. Let me see if I can find that because I think that's really important. and I wanted to share it. And let me see if I can. But it was the same Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe that said it was our failures, the Army's failures, that drove them to make the changes for Vanessa Guillen, like he really cares or whatever. And do I believe this? Do I believe? I'm trying to find this letter from Senator Cruz very quickly. And I did. Did I? Yeah, here it is. Let's see if I can. Yeah. Do I believe this leak that Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe could say something like this? Well, I'm going to tell you, I would be a fool not to consider it because of everything that we've been through. And I'm going to go through that today. So what this is saying is that we have a lieutenant general that is more concerned with the politics than he is of the safety, of the well-being, of the whereabouts of a service member, of a soldier. And that was appalling. And I can tell you, with everything that we know right now, all the evidence backs up the leak. It backs up the leak to say that his concern was more for the politics than it was for finding Richard, a missing soldier, a missing minor soldier. Okay. He was young. I guess 21 at the time, so maybe he's not a minor. Maybe that's just the mom and me speaking. So to think about this makes me concerned for every service member. Every service member. I guess it's the mom and me. Because we know that Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe did not act on his own. He was acting under General McConville and General Garrett. And I think at this point, they need to be totally arrested. I've been saying they need to be investigated. They need to be audited, of course. Of course. But I think it's, the crime is so huge. So here is Senator Cruz's letter that points it out. Make sure that, yes, here it is. So I don't know if you're going to see it really well, but I'll show it to you and I'll try to read it. Here's the letter. Oh. Let's see if I can get it as large as I can get it. I know I have something better. But it says here, at a February 2021 press conference, Major General Sean Bernabe, the commanding general of Fort Bliss, stated, "Our failure drove us to change the procedures we take here at Fort Bliss when we discover that a soldier's whereabouts are unknown." Okay, that's what he says. And matter of fact, I'm going to copy this image and stick it right in here. Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. let's do that. Okay. Then everyone can read it. Oh, yeah, it's better here. Oops. Oh, there's. Okay. Oh, no. How do I make it? All right. But it's better. At February 2021 press conference, Major General Sean Bernabe, the commanding general of Fort Bliss, stated, "Our failure drove us to change the procedures we take here at Fort Bliss when we discover that a soldier's whereabouts are unknown." This is, now I did see this press conference, but this work of Senator Ted Cruz helped us understand what that meant. And now it's really coming all together, the level of crime here, because there are so many very important people in important positions that are collaborating and conspiring together to cover up the whereabouts of Richard, that have tried to intimidate us to stop looking for our son. That's crazy. To even bully us and harass us to stop looking for our son. And this goes from Veronica Escobar to Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe to the CID to the FBI to the first sergeants to Captain Park, to the military police, to General McConville, who staged a task force find Richard Halliday, to our liaison, to even an SFC, even the wives. Okay. And it's a pretty close-knit family there at Fort Bliss, and I understand. But I believe that they have been totally engaged in major crimes, especially in this case. Because no way does it make sense any other way. It doesn't make sense any other way. And that is why we could look to the DA. The DA came in. I was looking up. Yeah, here he is. Bill Hicks. Okay, so here is Bill Hicks. He takes the oath of office. Right. And when was that? Not too long ago. And we haven't heard from him. Right? We haven't heard from this district attorney. That is very, very important in the Find Richard Halliday case. Especially Gregory McDonald. I don't even have a picture of him. I don't even know what he looks like. Why? If he is a public servant, why don't we have a picture of him? Why does he get this kind of anonymity, right? When he's a public servant. That doesn't make sense unless he's afraid of people, right? Unless he's afraid. The only way you're afraid of people is because you haven't done your job right. If we have so many criminals on the street that he has to be afraid, then he hasn't done his job. Okay? Because he is the in charge of the border, right? The attorney's office, the attorney general's office, working with Jaime Esparza, who also was the DA. No, he was the state side until all of this happened, and now he's federal. And any which way you look at it, this whole office of Attorney General, the FBI there, should all be helping us. So as I get to know all of this, I'll put more pieces together, because all of these people, they're all like working together to not address us, to ignore us, because if they start paying attention to us, then the whole process, the whole clock starts ticking. The process starts rolling. Then other laws come into effect with time. Like right now with Veronica Escobar, not even acknowledging that we have put in this inquiry to her. She doesn't want to answer, because as soon as she does, the clock will start ticking. She's expected to do something, but her not answering, she's in a real delicate situation. She'll wait till the last minute, because her not answering is also criminal. So they play all these games instead of doing their duty, because all the while there's a missing soldier, and we're reaching 1,000 days. But they don't want another Vanessa Guillen, because Vanessa Guillen got people fired. And people need to be fired in this case too, because the CID office, which is a small office there on Fort Bliss, they knew what was going on. You have Special Agent Soto working closely with Special Agent Tavita Nusa. They know each other. They're working together. And Tavita Nusa was seen with Leilani Hart all the time. And Leilani Hart is not shy about telling people what's going on. She's not shy. And there has been complaints in the Hart family going back to the 1990s. I mentioned that the other day in 2006 and 2015. I believe I have these years right. And 2019 and 2020. And the one in 2020 was very well put together. It was fortified with many files, information from many files. That's why they had to leak the files in order to put this complaint together. They were using the files to get information from the files, Richard being one of them, to use to weaponize Leilani's complaint in this divorce. This is what we've been told. And it's not very pretty, y'all. It contains many, many things that would make you cringe, because it has to do with children and even service members' children. And we're in the process. We're in the process of finding the family that is mentioned in this complaint, because there were 2 children involved in this. Okay, service members' children. Now, I won't mention their name to protect the children, but this complaint was back at the very, very beginning of 2019, and it wasn't given to the authorities until in the 22nd of July 2020. So 17 months later, someone is telling about these poor children that are being, at least one of them, being sexually abused. And I've talked to several people about this. And, and this is a fact. And I really want to stress this, because if you know of children being sexually abused, you need to go to your law enforcement right away. Right away. Now, that sounds so absurd, doesn't it? But to people that know children getting sexually abused, it's normally by somebody that they know, somebody that's close to them. And it doesn't get reported, y'all, until much later. Months, even years will go by until finally someone has had enough. Someone is just broken enough that they will finally go to the law enforcement agencies. The sad story is that the law enforcement agencies seem to have done nothing about this. That's why we'd like to find this person. Because, and if you know anything about it, call 941-677-0060. We're getting pretty close. We have boots on the ground. We've never stopped having boots on the ground in El Paso. And what's going on is in this file. Now, you might be confused, so let me go over this. For years, there's been a problem with child sex abuse in a family, and it's been reported, and that family is Leilani Hart's family. And Richard, when he got to El Paso, he was then, he was so excited, distinguished honor graduate. He was ready to go. He wanted to go green to gold. He was talking to my father about that. And then he got to El Paso. He got to Delta Battery 143. And they were deployed to Qatar. And in Qatar, he told us, it is so bad. It is so bad that he does not want to even stay in the military. He wants to do his time. Rob told him to hang in there. Keep his head low, hang in there. And we didn't say, we told you so, because we didn't want Richard to join the military. We offered him $10,000 not to join the military. But he wanted to do this. And I don't think in his wildest dreams he thought it was so bad. And he's a tough guy. But it was bad. And it was bad in Qatar. Okay? Because it was in Qatar that he said, no way. And when he returned to Fort Bliss, he tried to get out of Delta Battery. He put in a request to change batteries. He wanted to deploy again with some other unit in the military. He wanted to get out of that unit. He wanted to get out of that battery because it was so bad. And we have those requests in his paperwork. So we know for a fact he put in those requests and he was denied. They kept him there. So he returned back in September, maybe early July. And then he came here right afterwards in August. And so there wasn't much time in 2019. And between that time and the end of the year in 2019, he made Child Protective Service complaints. We had a leak that he went to his leadership, and his leadership turned him down. He made complaints to them, and they turned him down. And of course, I absolutely believe that. Why do I believe that? Because of the response of his leadership when Richard went missing. The response of the first sergeants when he went missing. the Richard made those Child Protective Service complaints. Now, he turned in sex videos. We know that the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday. So we know that this young mother was involved in all of that, and by time January came around, they were already at odds. And she called him my best friend before that. And then she said by January, she was just using him. Okay, he was concerned about her. He tried to get her to not work for, the sex scene. He said, look, they don't respect you. They're just horny. They just want to see you naked. Don't do it. Because she had just turned 18. As soon as she turned 18, that was expected of her, I guess. He was trying to dissuade her from doing that. And so they were already at odds because that was in the end of October, November, December of 2019. Now, all of that is happening, and they knew it. They knew it. And they knew things were going on with Richard because when Leilani Hart wanted to get the files, they picked Richard's file because they knew it had complaints. They knew that sex videos were turned in. That's my opinion. And CID was already compromised. CID was already compromised because we have another complaint to the El Paso police and the CID that Leilani Hart was boasting that she controls the CID at Fort Bliss. So this is why I've asked her to please call, please talk to me, please give her side of the story, because it's not looking good. With all of, if someone's going to make an El Paso police complaint and turn it in also to the CID, that, is this a setup? That she controls the CID? And how can that happen? Well, sex, and more sex. More sex and maybe pornography. Maybe child pornography. Maybe free child pornography. Maybe access to children. You have a whole history of child molestation, child abuse. So what did she offer for her control? And then, and I'm just, from all the things that we're being told, I am just thinking it through. I'm brainstorming here. It gets pretty ugly. And you have a lot of people knowing that when it has to do with child sex and child pornography, right now, our society, it's still unacceptable, and they will lose their job, and they will lose their retirement, and they will lose. And so it makes sense, just for an affair between, the two of them, they would lose their job. But for, Tavita Nusa would lose his job. But he lost his badge, so it had to be something even more. Right? It had to be even something more so. And because you don't lose your badge easily. And all along, where is Jaime Esparza? Where is Bill Hicks? Where is Gregory McDonald? Where is the FBI? Right? Where's the FBI? What is his name? It'll come to me. I'm just now learning these names because I should be on first name basis with them. I should know these names so well because they should be communicating with us. But that's not the case. I have to dig everything up. I have to get information from Team Find Richard Halliday. Not from our DA, not from our Attorney General, not from the Inspector General, not from Sean Bernabe, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. You know, he's not some little guy. He's a 3-star general. He got a star out of all of this. He got a star even when by saying that we take underage drinking seriously. And all along we have, a dozen of our soldiers drinking grog in the field and almost losing their lives because the grog was tainted with antifreeze. I'll never forget that. They hushed that up pretty quick. But, and more. Asia Graham died of a fentanyl-laced medication in the barracks during COVID lockdown. They were bringing girls in during COVID lockdown. They were saying, oh, we don't care about that, but you better wear your mask. You better get your Cobra Strike. You better bow to the hat. That's what they want. But we can bring in the girls. And you can have your frat party every day with booze and drugs and whores and blow. And pay for it. You know, that's a big business. And let's airdrop some porn. Let's airdrop some child porn. Keep that in business. And you get a 3rd star. And the FBI, of course, has to work closely with the CID. They work very close. And of course, then the city of El Paso with Veronica Escobar and Gregory Morales with the whole border thing. If Richard's body parts, if his remains were found in Juarez, like father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM says so and says, shh, it's a secret. But he is bold, you see. He's bold. He doesn't keep the secret. He tells the cashier. He's giving her a little tip. He didn't realize she would be moral, that she would care more for our soldier than a lieutenant general, that a cashier, is more honorable than a lieutenant general, that a cashier would be more honorable than a command sergeant major. You see, that's very clear. That's very clear that she's the hero. She's like, on our hero list, because we have a hero list, on our hero list, she's really up there, y'all. And we have $150,000 reward for credible information leading to Richard, and that's on that list. Now, no thanks to the FBI. No thanks to the Downey. Thank you. It came to me now. No thanks to FBI Downey, who's in charge of the FBI there. Because we were told that the father-in-law was just some guy. Just watching our Facebook. It took us months. So it took us months to learn that Richard filed a Child Protective Service complaint. It took us months to learn that he turned in sex videos. It took us not too long. It was pretty quick because of Team Find Richard Halliday and some leaks when we were there that the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday. But we were like, why? Okay, so why? And they were telling us there's no official complaint to the IG for anything from Richard Halliday. But we had gotten people saying, oh, the barracks were just packed with the IG because of Halliday. They were all over it. And we got that from more than one person, and we couldn't get answers. But, when you go over and above the chain of command to the Child Protective Service, then that triggers the IG. They have to do it. And so that started making sense. And it wasn't any help of the FBI for who this father-in-law is, who I called him Dollar General Man for the longest, for months. And then by the grace of God, we found out who he was and we called him. I talked to him twice. And it really is criminal, because at that point, this is October of 2020, at that point, we knew it was a botched investigation because there was a leak coming out of G3. But we didn't know that. See, they knew it. The FBI knew it. Downey knew it. If Downey knew it, the CID knew it because they worked together. If they know it, then Veronica Escobar knows it. If she knows it, then, of course, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe knows it. If Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe knows it, then his staff knows it. Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz knew it. You see, they all knew it. They all knew who this Lieutenant Colonel Bugado knew it, because it was his father-in-law and everyone that worked in that office. And so this was already a botched investigation, because the CID not only had the main person in it, Tavita Nusa, Special Agent Tavita Nusa, that was leaking files, that was having an affair. This is what we're told. I've asked him to call. I've asked her to call. Her husband said, yeah. This is a very known person in the family. And that's why when Dallas Hart said he didn't know who Tavita Nusa is, and then he called him Travis or something, I knew that's fishy. That's fishy, because Tavita Nusa is Samoan. His name is not Travis. And the Samoan group there, because Leilani Hart is a beautiful hula dancer. Okay, she teaches hula dancing. And I'm sure Tavita Nusa knows all about those festivals that they have when they're hula dancing and everything like that in El Paso. And I know they like football. So that, this is growing up with this close-knit Samoan family. And, things, we are just being hoodwinked all the time, manipulated all the time, and we want the truth. And all of this information coming in, we have to discern. And absolutely, this new information that Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe had a staff member that was appalled that he put the politics above finding a missing soldier, I believe is true. And I know that it is like a norm. I mean, a lot of the military out there is going to say, what are you talking about? Those 4-star generals, they do it all the time. Look at what General Mealy's doing. Look at what Secretary of Defense, retired 4-star General Austin is doing. They're putting their politics way ahead of any of our service members. And they've been doing it for a long time, sending them to these unjust wars and everything like that. I understand. But when you are a young person and you join the military and you are being told all about, what leadership is and what the creeds are, and we're an army of one, and leave no soldier behind, and you're joining a family, and be all you can be, and you walk in and you actually see the opposite. You actually see them intentionally leaving a soldier behind, intentionally dividing the military. within, right? It can be shocking to learn that your own government is so corrupt, is so selfish, is so, hypocritical. Absolutely hypocritical. They have a narrative, and yet what they truly are is quite the opposite of the narrative. And that's why now, with this recruiting problem, they are laughing at it. They're absolutely laughing because they see the hypocrisy of it all. And then there's the likes of us who cry because in that hypocrisy, we see real danger for our country. We see real treason. We see a huge betrayal. And using our service members as pawns, using them as fodder to protect what has been built up as these pretty cushy jobs. Cushy jobs that are meant there to be a betrayal against the American people, meant to take advantage of the volunteer sons and daughters, meant to fleece, lie, and worse, commit crimes against humanity, and of course, our children, abuse them, and put out this, this sex cult, grow the sex cult, groom the sex cult, groom those to be in the sex cult. It's, I can't even make it up because it's there. And so when all of this happened in 2020, they already knew, see, the FBI already had the leaked file. This was part of Richard's case, was part of this broader case. It fortified, it backed it up with other files. And other people received Richard's file, okay? It wasn't just Leilani Hart. Other people received it. They wanted to know what was in it. And so this notary that called us not too long ago to absolutely confirm that the CID and FBI case files that we received the number for were notarized on the 22nd of July 2020, which was the day before Richard went missing. That was big. That was huge. So, because when Richard went missing, there wasn't a peep. And then when we called, that's when nobody's mentioning the sex cult, child abuse. Nobody's mentioning that stuff to us. Nobody's mentioning the Child Protective Service complaint, except for the young mother, which that little message got buried with all the other messages that were coming in. And it took us a while to go through it and find it. And it was huge. And then we learned more. And then we learned more. And then we learned more. And it was more and more cover up until, this real botch, which was that the FBI have found Richard's remains and they're hiding it. They're hiding him. Now, they haven't answered us. Why? Why haven't they answered us? Is the FBI hiding the remains? of Richard because Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe did not want to have another Vanessa Guillen. And we just were getting too close because there were people there that would call us and say, "Did you know that Lieutenant General at that time, Major General Sean Bernabe, was looking for the remains of your son there in the training area of Kamal Jabul on Fort Bliss, this Afghanistan training." They they like to leave the remains of our soldiers in Afghanistan training areas, right? Or Afghanistan. And this was a scary thing because we've been told that somehow people are trained in cutting up bodies, and that Richard's remains will not be found because they were dealt with. And that, yeah. So that was shocking. And I tried to say, okay, wait a minute, that all could just be people intimidating us and being nasty and everything, because we got these nasty messages for months from February to May of 2022. As soon as we heard about Leilani Hart's name, that's when we started. When we heard about the CID agent leaking, because you see, there is tampering with Richard's body, tampering with case files, tampering with witnesses, impeding an investigation, because they kept telling us that we need to get them the leads. And I have numerous live streams saying that they told us to bring them leads. So they essentially were appointing us the investigators of a murder case, which is dangerous. So where is Bill Hicks now? Where is Jaime Esparza? Where is Gregory McDonald in this? Where are they? Because they could be this they could have the oversight of Fort Bliss. El Paso is their home. El Paso is their home. Do they not love their home? Do they not love the people there in their home? And this, Gregory McDonald, he's in charge of the border. Serious crimes on the border. Well, they've had 125 murders in March alone in Juarez. And you go, well, wait a minute, that's Juarez. But you see, El Paso is a Siamese twin sister of Juarez. They're connected. So, I'm getting a strange message here. So where is he? If you have family members that have connections with Juarez and you don't want to even love your city, your home, and that affects even your job, the border, because so many people in El Paso have family members or friends or, they know people in Juarez. So this is all connected. And people are dying because he doesn't want to do his job. Gregory McDonald doesn't want to do his job. Because if he wanted to do his job, he'd show his picture. He would not have to be afraid. And he would contact us. He would at least acknowledge we sent him a request. We sent him an inquiry. And he still hasn't acknowledged us. They haven't acknowledged us. Why? Well, we did get from the Office of the IG, they're going to look fully into this. And that's why we're asking everyone to write a letter to Mr. Horowitz, the Inspector General, to inspect this botched investigation of Richard Halliday. And I'm really thankful for this letter from Senator Cruz, and I'm looking at it again. I got some weird thing here that I probably need to delete. So this here, I'm really glad for this. Now, the offices of the Western District of Texas, you can go there. You can go to see who's in charge. They need to know that El Paso is your home. If you're in El Paso, you need to get in touch with these servants. They're public servants to do their job, and you can get in touch with them just by looking online. And I've really never done this either. I just wanted to point this out. These are some baptismal banners that I've made for my grandchildren when they're baptized, because today is Palm Sunday. And we can't forget that our strength comes from our faith. Because on this day, every disciple knew that it was like down condemned way. So even though the people were all waving their palms and being really happy, they knew that they thought that Jesus was riding to his death, but we know different now, right? It was not him being condemned. He can't be condemned. They can try, but he can't be. And it was those that plotted and conspired to be up to no good, to do harm, for the sake of preserving the very corrupt government culture, rather than do their duty and establish justice, establish righteousness. They didn't want that. They liked the corruption. They liked making the money off of the corruption. And I think that this is important to remember, that God is always victorious, even through these rough times. So I posted that up. Also, I went on a walk today, and this is our moon in the sky, and I took some pictures. This is how it looks, and as I zoom in, the way my camera works is it makes the background dark, and it's just amazing, these pictures of the moon. And I've been laughed at because I said, no way is the moon solid. It changes so much, and you have to take pictures of it often to understand that it changes. And if we're not willing to admit that we've been misled, that we've been lied to, that we're being used, that we're being hoodwinked. Look at this. This is my camera. I did not do anything to this picture. It's just amazing. Then we're not going to move forward. And I had to admit, as you know, my whole life has been Go Army. And I've had to admit that they've betrayed us, that they have left us defenseless, that they are hoodwinking us, that they are up to no good. Every last one of them on the top. On the top. It's bad, y'all. And so we have to admit that in order to move forward. Now I have this, I wanted to let you know where the other two numbers went to. Okay, each number I traced, well, we traced four numbers. And the four numbers, each one of them had three locations. And so I wanted to give this because, see, our lives have been threatened. Our lives have been abused. Our lives have been harassed. And we're just now knowing who could help us, who could give us some security, who could give us safety. And that would be Gregory McDonald. That would be Jaime Esparza. That would be Bill Hicks. That would be Downey, Mr. Downey from the FBI, right? These people could give us it would be Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. It could be Veronica Escobar, but they're not doing their jobs. And we are left to defend ourselves and to investigate a murder case, because this is absolutely a murder case. 99.999, it's a murder case. And so I wanted to tell you, in May, I sent all of these locations of our tracing to the authorities. Where was Downey? Where was Bill Hicks then? Where was Jaime Esparza? Where was Gregory McDonald? Where were they? Where was Veronica Escobar? Weren't they outraged that we were getting harassed like this, that we were getting threats like this? And so we got nothing back. And I think it's about time. Here it is in April of 2023. So that's almost a year. And we have heard nothing back from these traces. And of course, you saw I gave you the first one, which was Santa Clara, which we know that Santa Clara was the headquarters, Stanford University headquarters, Silicon Valley, the headquarters located in Santa Clara for the manipulation of millions and millions of people's social media narratives. We know that now through congressional hearings. So were we being bullied from Santa Clara too? And then we found out that somehow Clem Coward's phone is linked to Santa Clara. Is that a coincidence? We would like answers. So we have to make it public for people to understand the kind of abuse that we have been put under. And just because we want to know where our son is. The danger that we've been put under. Because we don't want any other family to be treated like this. And if Gregory McDonald stays in his place, if Bill Hicks stays in his position, if Veronica Escobar stays in her position, if Jaime Esparza stays in his position, then many more families will suffer like this. And talking from the military point of view, wow, we need some retrenching. They've messed up, y'all. They've messed up big. And it's not even a messing up. It's treason. It's high crimes and misdemeanors. It is that so many people need to be arrested for what they've done. And so for our safety, I have to give you this information. I have to put it out there because this is our only recourse for safety. Besides, you can have concealed carry. You can be trained. You can put cameras up. But we know that we don't have big buildings with big staffs, with security guards, security machines, all that stuff. So this is another way we can keep us safe. And yeah, there's so much on here. So I wanted to show you. So the next number, so we had Santa Clara, right? And then what was the second one? Geez, Santa Clara, Denmark, Copenhagen. Uh, Denmark is very interesting because the place that it led to, um, there's a NATO base, and then the house that it led to, I don't know if someone rented like the back room out or whatever. That's a possibility. Um, yeah. So the third one is South Korea. And South Korea, I've been there many times. My son-in-law is South Korean, and I've been to church right across the street where this led, because it's the major Anglican church there, which is absolutely. We went on a tour. It's just amazing. But the number, this is Gimpo. I believe this is Gimpo Public Health Center here, this area. That was one of the locations. The other location, I put the American Embassy on here just for people to understand what area it is in. So right here, I can see the church right now. This is the beautiful Anglican church. You can see the cross right across the street here. There's a hotel, and this is the Seoul Financial Center building, a Seoul Financial building. And there's like a Best Western right here where it really leads into, which is very fascinating. But this is American Embassy. American Embassy, very important because the FBI are in the American Embassy. This, of course, they still had, I know for my daughter, they kept their mandates for much longer than we have in South Carolina. And so, I don't know if they had to work out of their hotel rooms or things like that. I don't know. And I don't know if this, the thing is I just have to ask these questions because we're not getting a response back. We gave them this almost, 11 months ago. Maybe 10 and a half months ago. 10 and a half months is plenty of time to respond when it is our security, when we are getting vile and vulgar messages from these phones that are, for months. It's not just one. It's daily for months. And then we have this Sam Adams that says he knows who did it. And yet he's not speaking up. They have this hatred for us because we want to know where our son is. Because we have the 6 of every service member, us fighting for Richard, us wanting to know where Richard is having the 6 of every service member. Because we are making it plain and clear day in and day out that the lives of our service members are our greatest asset. They are worth fighting for. And there should be accountability for every death of a service member. Every death needs to be, hey, what happened here? And what happened in Afghanistan, there needs to be accountability, and they need to start with SecDef Austin. And they need to clearly, for that kind of betrayal, for that kind of absolute betrayal in so many different ways, and for him to say it was okay, they need to really put the death penalty back on the table and discuss this. The same thing with Milley saying he doesn't even know what's going on in his libraries on his bases that absolutely are a psyop when the Pentagon spends billions and billions for psyop because they know that they have to have a psychological narrative to run the military. That's why they brought the girls in during the COVID lockdown, because they were running a narrative. They were doing a psychological operation on our soldiers, and that's why they do the porn. And they know for a fact you cannot have a military that's $1 trillion military and have servers used, private servers used, or who knows who's running these servers, that are all pornography, and that they can be airdropped to everyone's phone on a ship, on a plane, on a submarine, on anything. You can have whatever pornography you want, and every bit of pornography, every last drop of it, every last poison of it, every last pollution of it is supporting child sex trafficking. And they know it. And they allow it. And it is ruining our country. And when you don't want to go along with this Vanity Fair, with the pornography, with the child sex trafficking, and you say, I'd rather burn my money than spend it on whores and blow, they don't like that. They want you to spend your money on whores and blow. And they want to groom our young people into these sex cults and sex confusion. They don't want to bring them up in the admonition of the Lord, where they can experience something really beautiful, something praiseworthy. They want an ugly life, an abusive life. They want to train them, as elders' mom told me, they want to train them to suicide. So this area here, very interesting. I'm just going to put it on there. Where these numbers led to. So people will know. Who is there? I mean, if it's a hotel, they can run those dates. February through May of 2022, right after the January big find out, the big CID FBI report that Special Agent Tavita Nusa was leaking files, one being Richard's file, to Leilani Hart. And then the thing is, the CID knew, they already had a report that Leilani Hart at this whole time was claiming control of the CID right there at Fort Bliss. And then that meant that Agent Downey, the in charge, what's his first name? I think it's James or whatever. Downey, I need to look that up, is totally aware that the CID there on Fort Bliss is controlled by this woman. And who is she? What is she selling? What is she selling that's so good that can control the AG, the FBI, the CID, Representative Veronica Escobar? See, Leilani Hart's not just controlling the CID. She's controlling Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. She's controlling the FBI. She's controlling the Attorney General. She's controlling the Inspector General. She's controlling Veronica Escobar. She's controlling, wow. Wait, grab onto your seats, because this is the next number is very interesting. Let's go around the globe to the next leak, and it's going to be close to home. Do you read that? Can you read that? This is where one of the numbers led to. What is this place? What is this place? Well, let's go down and check it out. Let's go down and check this out. Wow. Is this the White House? Is this in Washington, D.C., the White House? You mean one of our let's go further out so we can see it better. One of our numbers led to the White House? We turned this in. You think that we got anything back? Yeah. For February through May. Okay. February, I could give the exact dates of this number that led to the White House. And like I told y'all, it was more than just one number. So where else did it lead? It led to up north. It led to another star fort. Did you know that Toronto was another star fort? It's kind of hard to see unless you get pretty close, but you see the remnants of this star fort all around here. You can see it, the remnants of this star fort in Toronto. And I just always use that as a marker because right here is like where they admit that it's a star fort. You know, they'll say this, but, you know, star forts are always much bigger than what they tell you. But this is where, this beautiful place, this is where, this is really interesting. Because it led to right there, right? It led to right there. And there's a dot you could press on there. Something's underneath here. And it leads to this amazing apartment. Who stayed at this apartment? Who stayed at this apartment in Toronto? Because that's exactly where the pinpoint leads, to this apartment. Here's some workers. Is that amazing? I think that's amazing. And, you know, maybe it's nothing, but why didn't they answer? Because this here, if you want to know what this place is, it's beautiful. It is the Toronto City Hall. So there's an I guess there's some kind of, there's the City Hall. And that apartment is inside the City Hall. Okay, so that was, this was a big deal, y'all. So we have Korea. We have Toronto, the White House. And then we have, which is very interesting, and I'm going to give this forest city, it led to this forest city, and you're going to be amazed what this is. This is called PieSafe. So, you know, they probably were really hurt, this business, during the whole COVID, you know, that went against small businesses. So get your pies at PieSafe in North Carolina, Forest City, North Carolina. Yeah, that's where this led to. What a beautiful little town. So, I don't know. I don't know, y'all. But I wanted to share all of those numbers with you because maybe someone out there knows how these things work. We were very fortunate to get the traces on those numbers because it stopped them. Okay, it stopped them. So, and that was very important because it was really a psyop and it was very intimidating and it was threatening. So we'd like 1,000 letters for the 1,000 days. Absolutely. To go to Mr. Horowitz, Michael Horowitz there, and you can go on to this Telegram and get. You can even go on. I'll post it on again on Facebook and get the information. If you can send a letter, that would be really appreciative. And you know, don't forget that this here when we were um, speaking with Veronica Escobar, she said she would get a third party involved. Who was that third party? Why didn't she get Gregory McDonald involved? Why didn't she get um, why didn't she get Mr. Downey, right, involved? So, and then let's play this real quick.
But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them.
Yeah, and this is why and
shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them.
Yeah. So this is, they can be the intelligence agency, meaning the FBI and the CID and the CIA and the DA and the AG and the IG and the Department of Justice, the Department of Defense, and of course the FBI. They can be really, really upset. What about us being upset about how they are negligent and derelict and worse in their duties? Are we not to hold them accountable ever? Ever? And we're expected that they're going to come after us and weaponize our agencies, our own government is going to come after us because we want to know where Richard is and hold those that hurt him accountable. That's ludicrous. And that's where we're at. And I even told Major General, now Lieutenant General, because don't forget, he got a star. You see, when you participate with Vanity Fair, and participating with Vanity Fair means 20,000 unaccounted for children out of Fort Bliss. That's what that means. And he got a 3rd star for that. It means hiding the body of a missing soldier, the first CONUS Deaths 1 missing soldier. That's what I think that means. That's what, they found his body. They found his remains. That's what that means. And he gets a star for it. You have a raped soldier that dies from a fentanyl-laced medication, and you get a star. Where is Gregory McDonald on that when a soldier dies of fentanyl? I think there's another agency head that is his name Ian? I don't know. I'm looking through these names, but y'all, we are being stupid because we want an agency that actually does their job. Richard's, you have to understand, before Richard went missing, there was a long history of corruption within the CID. And Soto didn't tell us that because Soto was in charge of it. Soto didn't tell us about that this was a botched investigation, because it seems like they're getting paid to botch the investigation, because Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, this is our leak, is telling people, I don't care what you do as long as I don't have another Vanessa Guillen. So you can botch an investigation. You can go behind the whole search for Find Richard Halliday and talk to people trying to help find Richard Halliday and intimidate them. You can mess with witnesses like Command Sergeant Major, I believe he did, at Staten Theater right there on Fort Bliss, to say that you're not allowed to talk with the family, that you're not allowed to talk to press. That is witness tampering. That is impeding an investigation, because we were told, we were officially made the investigators because we were told to bring in the leads. Everybody knows that, that's been paying attention. So they knew all of this going on behind our backs, and they fake a canine search. They fake a task force Find Richard Halliday. So they impede, they manipulate, they botch, and it's all done on purpose. And then where are these numbers leading? To try to intimidate us, or to even, threaten us with lawsuits and things like this. And I'm like, okay, bring on the lawsuit, because maybe we'll get answers, because otherwise no one is doing anything. And, I can't believe that they don't care about their home. El Paso's beautiful, y'all. I was born at White Sands. I went to school at MacArthur, Fort Bliss Elementary and kindergarten, and then MacArthur Elementary, and there at Bassett Middle School. Those mountains, the horses. Of course, the horses are involved in this. Right there being a border city. I always loved a border city because you get the cultures, but they've ruined it. They've ruined it. Don't forget the DOD was the one that did this whole destruction of the economy of the world. They just want things to be ugly, and they want things to be divided. And I remember when I was a young girl loving going over to Juarez. And there was a huge German community in El Paso, and we got along. There were American community, Italian community, Spanish community, Puerto Rican community, and we got along. Korean community. But, it's like our agencies and they want us to divide us, and they do that by grooming hatred. grooming sex cults, grooming people to think that they can control everything with sex. And when the heterosexual sex gets boring, they go right into this child pornography stuff. I mean, it's really sickening that they would use our children to get their power. And they would use our children badly to get their power. And so yeah. And Richard being adopted absolutely had a heart for children. I'll take questions now. I'm pretty mellow today. A lot of really good things happening. And I didn't know how to respond to this leak from the staff of Lieutenant General Bernabe. And, I just think, oh my God, how evil can people get? They're the worst type of criminals. I say that. They're the worst type of criminals. Because not only have they betrayed their country and the land and the people, but they've betrayed our future. When you betray the children. So, I don't know. I hope he answers this. I hope he officially responds to this. The rumors going out, because I know that the rumors for a lot of military leaders are not good. They're not, it's like spiraling downward into the abyss. They've put this millstone around their neck with the things that they've done, with what they've participated in, and it's not good for them. And so they need to come clean. Confession is the cure of souls. Okay. And we're getting some really good intel lately. Really good intel. And we're hoping to get this family that had the 2 children that were abused. As far as, I don't know if I should reach out to them or not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Danielle, thank you. I don't know why they don't put on all points bulletin out for Richard Halliday throughout all military personnel. I've asked active duty Army sergeant and individuals, and they had no idea that they have a missing soldier. An active duty Army soldier that's missing. Such a disgrace. But if he was a criminal, the news would cover it. But see, the thing is they were making him out to be a criminal. And they were smearing Richard. And I'm like, okay, so there's all these subpoenas and warrants, and they're not finding anything. And you're telling me all this stuff, and it doesn't make sense to me. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And if he is a criminal, this is when the senior leader was sent to the military police guard mount to groundlessly smear Richard. Richard has been so scrutinized, around 80 subpoenas and warrants, and he's a yellow Interpol. They found nothing. Okay, and they're smearing him with all kinds of terrible things. And this military police soldier, Anthony Swafford, then proceeds to use information that he was wrongly given because he was hypnotized by this evil. And he started trying to dissuade people from helping to find Richard. And this is a military police soldier. And I'm like, what is he doing? If that information is out there, wouldn't they put out an all, what did you call that? That was really good. An all points bulletin to get him, and to save him from doing any harm. But they didn't do that. They were giving a green light to letting him go and to not looking for him. And I was like, what are you guys doing? I don't believe what you're saying is true, but you need to find him no matter what. He's an active duty missing soldier. Just find him. It's your duty as military police right there from Fort Bliss to do it. And they were just like folding their hands or sitting on their hands and not wanting to do anything and not wanting anyone else to do anything. And I think that's so criminal. And whoever that senior leader is, and Anthony Swafford knows. Anthony Swafford knows who the senior leader from the guard at the guard mount was. Guard mount, change of shift, with all of the updates and any kind of news that's going on. The announcements. And who is this senior leader? Because if that senior leader was ordered by Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, who was ordered by General Garrett or General McConville, then we have a whole crew of criminals there. The worst type of criminals. If they pay attention to you, then they would be made to do their job when they should have done their job already, in my opinion. It's criminal at this point, in my opinion. Silence is consent. Absolutely. Silence is consent, in my opinion. I'd totally agree with you on that. But there's another layer here. The Air Force General, Lieutenant General, was talking about the layers, and it's been handled through layers and all this. Well, we have layers, and the layers is the AG, the layers is the DA, the layers is the FBI. Where is Bill Hicks? Where is Gregory McDonald? Where is Jaime Esparza? Where is FBI special agent in charge there of El Paso, Downey? Where is Downey? Where are these people? So, and where is Veronica Escobar? Where is she? She can't even acknowledge this is criminal. This is, that she can't even acknowledge our inquiries. Have you done some research on those banners are for my little babies? That's what they're meant for. That's why they look like that. Have you done some research on Project Sandman and how that will affect all of us and this country? I don't know what that is. Danielle, let them take you to court and your voice will be heard. Oh, we've been threatened with court over and over and over again. And worse. And that is appalling. But like you said, and we were there on January 6th. And I have not been shy to say we were there on January 6th. We were there. And, because Major General, who is now a Lieutenant General, Donna Martin, she was given a star. She contacted us the day before to say, do not go to the Capitol on January 6th. And they knew, y'all, they knew. They are conspiring. They are colluding. They are putting politics before everything because let me tell you, no lieutenant general should tell the family of a missing soldier when there's going to be 1 million people at the nation's capital not to go. Because there would be, press there. There would be people that would have some kind of authority to help us. We could reach out to many, many people in order to help find Richard. And so that would be our right as citizens of the United States, just like everyone there. But it was infiltrated and it was mislabeled and it was a setup job by some lot, I think. And, but she knew it was political, and she knew it was going to be a political setup job. She knew something was going on because they didn't have any security there either. Very little security. The security didn't start coming until we were leaving on the bus. Then we heard all these police and stuff. And what kind of people? It would be the kind of people like Veronica Escobar. It would be the kind of people like Bill Hicks and Jaime Esparza and Greg McDonald that would not secure the people of the United States there on January 6th, that had every right for a recount to be done, an investigation on an election to be done. That's what this country is all about. And I think every Biden supporter should have wanted that too, because look at what has happened. Look at what has happened. And if I was Biden, and I said this on the bus leaving, I would want to make sure that people knew that I won fair and square, that I was a legitimate president, because I would want to be respected, because the buck stops there, right? The buck stops at the desk of the president, supposedly. So I don't know what all the huff and puff was about. And they did not secure that area. There wasn't even porta potties put in. There wasn't the support that needed to be there, that I have seen over and over again in Seoul, South Korea. They have, demonstrations daily there. At least a weekend. Every weekend there's a demonstration. And as you saw in that Toronto picture, there's demonstrations. So a free people are a people that are free to demonstrate, to speak up, to ask for accountability, to ask for a fair count. And they knew that they had set it up, that they did not put the security there. Because let me tell you, I was there. And the only ones that I felt any danger were the security that were in a group. They were trying to tighten us up, right? Get us all together. This is during COVID too. Get us all together. And then they would shoot the tear gas to try to make us trample each other. But we were with a really great group of people that stuck together and helped each other out, unlike Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, unlike Veronica Escobar. We were with true veterans. We were with true family people. And we helped each other out when we were tear gassed, to not trample each other, not hurt each other, to not leave anybody behind, to be American citizens of one people. And we had all kinds of different people around us, but we were all American citizens. We were saying the Lord's Prayer. So I don't know why these people got appointed that are in these positions, that are do-nothing people, and get all this security, get all the air conditioning they want, get these big buildings, get these big staffs, get the weekends, and go and play golf and go do this and go do that, and then are negligent and derelict and also treasonous and betray their very home They have betrayed El Paso. They have betrayed Fort Bliss. They have betrayed Texas. And I don't know why we can't hold them accountable for that. Because they're supposed to secure us. There's, we hire them for a reason. They're public servants. So that's... Jaime Esparza should be in prison. Yeah. Anybody, the big thing that convinced me is that any attorney general that can't get a quick result on the Walmart case is not doing their job. Because when you have witnesses and you have CCTV footage and you have dead bodies and you have shell casings and you have everything, very quickly, 1 week, boom. And, our Constitution says we need to have quick justice. And they politicize everything at the expense of their own home. So, please contact Irene. I met Irene Jackson. I really like Irene Jackson. She has been on TV much more than Veronica Escobar and making waves. She might get your case in the national news again. I do like her, and we were at church together, and I went to one of her rallies to get her attention there. And, the thing is this is the case of Richard Halliday. Where is Richard? And they all know it. They all know that we know that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are involved in this case. We know that they know that we know that this is a botch case, that the government was weaponized against us, that Richard didn't just walk away. We know that there is some real bad crime going on here. They know bad crime is going on here. They know who is so powerful that they can get all of these powerful agencies to lockstep. We're just a bunch of, I think, slaves. We're all just a bunch of hired hands. We don't have our freedom anymore. We're all afraid of being on our own, trying to make our own living because of the way the economy has been ruined by our own hands. Through our own agencies, we're paying these taxes to have our country ruined, and then we're under the hand of anyone that's going to give us a job that we're going to work for, but it's under all these conditions that are up to no good. And yeah, our health, our defense, our justice, all of it. So who's powerful enough to do all of this? You have to ask that question. And I don't think you're crazy to ask that. I don't think at this point, with all the evidence that we have, that you can even put a tinfoil hat on. It's right there. It's right there. When I read through First Sergeant Jay Pollin's remarks and text messages to me at that time, knowing what I know now, I don't have to put on a tinfoil hat. When I listen to our discussions with CID Soto, I don't have to put on a tinfoil hat. Those conversations just run in my head over and over again, long conversations. And I even think that other things were staged because of all the evidence I have now. So, yeah, this is a botched investigation. It's a weaponization of our agencies against us. And they forgot who they are. as far as being Americans, and that they owe it to their home to protect their home and work for their home and get justice for their home, meaning the land and the people. If you're not going to do it for the United States of America, you need to do it for Texas. You need to do it for the Western District of Texas. You need to do it for El Paso. And they haven't. So thank you so much, everybody, and keep sending me the tips. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing.